What are we looking for in preseason week 3? We'll talk about it right now on FFT Express. It's Adam and Jamey here on this Friday morning. And before we get into what's coming up, how about the 2 games from last night? Patriots, Giants, Steelers, Panthers. Any big takeaways from those games?
Thought Jaxon Dart looked good again. Just really making a strong case for himself that once he does get an opportunity to start, whether it's at some point this season or maybe next season, then Giants fans should be encouraged, whether he's going to be legit or not, for consecutive games, consecutive seasons. I'm sure you as a Giants guy, Dan as a Giants guy, have your rose-colored glasses on, or maybe the opposite, just a concern. But he's definitely handled himself, I think, very well in the preseason. Really, there was nothing much. I was glad to see Scadaboo out there and looking like he can, for people that drafted early, maybe at some point have a role. But just to get some game action in. And thank God for Jalen Hyatt catching that touchdown. How about Jameis Winston? Just walks right in on the field, bang, touchdown, see you later. He's so fun.
And it's important perspective, right? Because if you're getting so hyped about Jaxon Dart, well, Jameis Winston's actually had a pretty good preseason too. But
I guess the question would be, there's probably 2 scenarios here. If a Russell Wilson injury occurs and the Giants are 500 or better, who starts?
I think it's Dart. I think he's going to be QB2. And look, he can move a little bit. He did have a pretty eye-opening preseason. It wasn't just the numbers. And his numbers last night weren't nearly as good as they should have been because the Giants dropped 4 passes.
Yep.
He made some ridiculous throws. About the one where he got hit and threw the ball downfield and just perfectly placed it. I don't even know who that was who dropped it. It wasn't Hyatt, but he was really good. And this processing seemed pretty good. He did some good things mentally throughout the preseason as well. And we
goes
saw
through his progression too.
Yeah, we saw his mobility. So I think you have to at least be encouraged by what we saw. And then we talked about the Steelers running backs. Let's make a little bet. I'm in full PPR. I'm going to take Kaleb Johnson, best Steelers running back this year.
I'll take Jaylen Warren. Injuries related or no?
Yeah, I think per game, 50% of not 50% of the snaps or more, but like normal snap share games.
So let's go per game average, full PPR, must have at least 100 total touches for the season.
Okay. Yeah, I'll take Kaleb Johnson.
So if they both go over 100, both get to 100 total touches, then the bet is on.
Okay. I'm a little nervous about Johnson's speed. It's just he didn't run a good 40. He hasn't looked that fast. But I just can't shake this feeling that the Steelers are never going to give Jaylen Warren the work that everyone wants him, including me, wants him to get. I feel like they just are going to limit his role, which they've done for 3 years.
Potentially. I mean, look, you laid out a great scenario. I just think part of it is Najee Harris just never came off the field because he did the things that veterans do. And now he's competing with Kenneth Gainwell and a rookie.
All right. So let's talk about looking ahead now. And, look, hopefully teams are going to be pretty cautious, not going to play a lot of starters this week. But the Saints are still trying to figure out their quarterback situation. So how much do you care when it comes to Olave, Kamara, Shaheed about who wins this job?
I don't really think it should factor in at this point because of where they're getting drafted. Kamara is the wild card to me because his ADP is not fluctuated much. And when you're talking about him, was he 29th? I think is the last time we mentioned it. I haven't looked since the beginning of the week.
CBS ADP?
I'm sorry?
CBS ADP?
Yeah.
Oh, I can tell you. Yeah, he's super early. Kamara is 28th.
I can't do that.
Round. Yeah.
Can't do that. Like, he has to do exactly what he did a year ago. And he gave you a great example at various times, if you haven't heard it, about Kellen Moore and his track record. I don't love that he uses Zeke as one of the examples, but Eckler and Barkley, their pass catching numbers plummeted. Now, Barkley switched teams. So that's part of it, I think, as well. He went to a running quarterback. But Eckler with Kellen Moore, Ezekiel Elliott with Kellen Moore, Saquon Barkley with Kellen Moore, their pass catching numbers went down. If Kamara is not catching passes in what this offensive environment could look like, it could be a disaster.
I can give you a little inspiration from bad offenses. 2023 Breece Hall was the number 2 running back overall. He was number 11 per game in non-PPR, number 5 per
75 catches.
76 catches. Yeah. They were the 3rd lowest scoring team in the NFL. But do you not see that possibility for Kamara?
I just wonder. I haven't really downgraded him because of the Kellen Moore potential in a negative. And you heard me say this multiple times. He played 4 games with Spencer Rattler last year. He 17 or more PPR points in 3 of them. You brought up the counter to that. No Rashid Shaheed, no Chris Olave. So take that into account as well. But at least with a crappy quarterback situation, his numbers were still very good. So if he's still catching passes, he's going to be great. If he goes from a 65 to 70 catch guy to a 45 to 50 catch guy, I think it's awful. Absolutely awful.
Forget it. And that's like a round 5-6 pick if he's
at best
45, 50 catch guy. All right. And we'll take a break, talk about some other scenarios that we're looking to see in preseason week 3, and we'll be right back. We're back here. We're looking ahead to the weekend. Well, I think the Dolphins running back situation will be interesting because Ollie Gordon is obviously going to have an opportunity, assuming they play him. I think they will, but I don't know. But yeah, what are your thoughts on the Dolphins backfield as it stands right now on August 22nd?
I think there's 4 rookie running backs that could really change there might be more if you want to throw like a Dylan Sampson in there, but 4 rookie running backs to me that could really change their value this weekend. And that's Ollie Gordon. Like if he starts and goes nuts with whatever amount of work they give him, he's going to fly up draft boards because if Jalen Wright is hurt and Devon Achane is hurt, then people are going to go after Ollie Gordon because he's getting some buzz. Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt is obvious. If he has a big day, depending on how much they play him, and Chris Rodriguez does nothing and Eckler does nothing, he's going to continue to meteoric rise. Bashal Tutin, if he goes out and has a big day, and not even, I think it matters if Tank Bigsby and Travis Etienne do anything, but just if Tutin does anything of significance or importance, he will rise a little bit. And then Jaydon Blue, if he gets the opportunity to play and looks like could be the guy for the Cowboys, meteoric rise. Like we could see all 4 of these guys have dramatic shifts. Tutin maybe not the biggest leap unless there's an injury to Etienne or Bigsby, or one gets traded in case of Bigsby based on reports. But yes, I can see those 4 rookie running backs having big opportunities and taking advantage of it and changing the sort of opinion on their value.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned the Cowboys backfield here because all indications are that Javonte Williams he's the starting running back for them. Like, Sanders may not make the team and Jaydon Blue's been hurt. So right now, Javonte is in the driver's seat, and I don't think we're going to see him at all. But we will see. Hopefully, we'll see Jaydon Blue, who's back from injury. But yeah, I understand the philosophy of saying that. Well, listen, eventually Javonte is going to lose the job. So I draft Javonte. Yeah, right. I draft Javonte before Jaydon Blue, but I think it's close. But how about you?
I have them back to back. I still have Javonte 1 spot ahead, but it's one of those things where this comes down to me for a roster build. And I know this sounds funny why you rank it this way versus how you draft it, but if I'm just looking for, I don't need anybody for the first few weeks, I'm going to take Jaydon Blue because I do think at some point he's going to have a role, significant role, starting role. We'll see. But I do think that at some point he's going to have a role. And then it's almost like the same thing like with Bashal Tutin with Braylon Allen versus with Zach Charbonnet. Like sometimes in the case of like Breece Hall's just too rich for me, I'm not taking him. I'll take a chance on Braylon Allen at the cost. With the Cowboys, guys are just very close. So if they're both on the board, I probably will still take Javonte. But if I'm just looking at long term, I'll take him. I just want to reference Diana Rossini of The Athletic. She said that teams making calls in search of running back additions include the Saints, the Browns, and the Chiefs. I'm surprised the Dolphins aren't on that list, just given the circumstances, but this may have been before Jalen Wright got hurt. We could see some veteran guy like a Jaleel McLaughlin. I'd be surprised if it's Devin Singletary, but you get where I'm going. Like those type of guys. Brian Robinson's obvious. Khalil Herbert. One of these guys can get potentially traded, and then we're scrambling, especially anybody who drafted already and anybody that's drafting. So you have any drafts coming up this weekend?
No.
Oh, you're on vacation. I have 2 Monday, right? Our podcast is Monday. 1 this weekend, and I'm curious how it's going to go. It's after the games are done, though.
Yeah, you mentioned the Chiefs in that report there. I'm hoping that means they're just not really happy with their depth.
I think that's the case.
Yeah.
From what I've read, Elijah Mitchell has not looked like he's got anything left.
Right.
Brashard Smith, I think, is not ready to be in an elevated role, and Kareem Hunt is now banged up and 30 plus years old.
Right.
I moved Pacheco.
Let me ask you.
That's going to be one of your best calls because you've been on that from the beginning.
Would it surprise you if we, you know how sometimes we do, hey, let's redraft like midseason or whatever. If we do this in week 3 after the first 2 weeks of the season, would it surprise you if Isiah Pacheco is a second or a third round value?
I would think if that's the case, he's either exactly where he was pre-injury, or there are a lot of other guys that got hurt.
Yeah,
but I do think if you say round 4, then I'm with. Like I've gone from like round 6 to round 4, 5-ish, and I'll tell you the guys I struggle with is him versus Pollard versus Montgomery versus Swift. That group of running backs, and you can make a case he's probably in a better standing than RJ Harvey, for example, if you want to. But I moved him ahead of Pollard, and the only reason why is Tyjae Spears, I think, is going to come back and still have a role.
Mm-hmm.
And Pacheco could be the featured guy there.
Pollard is definitely someone that I want to start drafting, because the high ankle sprain for Spears, high ankle sprains are tough, and Spears he's got some injury issues, and they should be much better team this year. Yep. And their offensive line should be better and all that. But Pacheco, to me, if it helps you in your rankings, Jamie, he is clearly ahead of all those guys except Harvey in full PPR. I think I might lean Harvey in full PPR, but half PPR, I go Pacheco. But you know what? Look, the bottom line is I'm glad people are getting excited about him, and that if you can get him in round 5, you should feel really good about having Isiah Pacheco, who was a round 2 pick a year ago.
So let me ask you this question, just going back to the draft we just did. Mm-hmm. You drafted
Genty
in round 1. You went Genty round 1, and you could have had AJ Brown in round 2. Yeah. So if you go Genty, AJ Brown, still go Kittle, still go Burrow. Instead of taking McLaurin, you get Pacheco. Hindsight, which team do you like better?
So do I like Achane and McLaurin versus Pacheco and AJ Brown? Ooh, so
and let's
close.
Assume that Pacheco plays week 1.
That McLaurin plays week 1?
McLaurin plays week 1.
And Achane plays week 1 and AJ Brown?
Everybody's fine for week 1.
I think I'm going to go Achane McLaurin, but it's super close. AJ Brown, yeah, that's a good. How about you?
I would, if I were you, I would go with the Pacheco build because you like him so much and you have such faith in him. And so you're getting the better receiver, and you're getting a running back that you think is going to significantly outperform his ADP and play at a high level. Like Achane should be awesome, but there's now the wrinkle of injury.
Yeah, calves stink. They can definitely get re-injured. But the thing with Achane is it's hard to pass him up 17th overall if you're drafting this weekend, because we really think that, before this injury, we really thought he was a top 8 player. Mm-hmm. So to get Genty or whoever you're taking round 1 and Achane, I mean, that's like an auction, to get right. But okay, I see your point. All right, we're going to wrap it up here. Thanks so much. Have a great weekend, everybody. Mailbag tomorrow. See you soon.